දැන් ඊයේ කිව්ව සූත්‍රේ දුට්ටක් කියන්නේ කවුද?
So come on, somebody to recap yesterday's sutta a little.
දුට්ටක්. මෙයා මහින්දාවේ ඉන්නේ.
You are the Rajaputu. You are the Rajaputu. You. So anybody that remembers? No. Try to use your memory, please.
Oh.
Yesterday we did one.
Stuffy inside handle. No, inside stuffy.
Etule ara usma pante avasane usma ganna amaru.
Open someday.
Then tika දැන් කාලගුණ නිසා අර මොකද
humidity.
ජලාවාෂ්ප වැඩි නේ දවස් ටික උස්ම ගන්න අමාරු වෙනවා. මට අමාරු වෙනවා.
Maybe I can try.
Okay, good.
If it's not. So the sutta is called Samadhi in 5:27. It's about a person that Prabhupada said it's kind of either arahat or very close to the arahat in his opinion.
ඔගොල්ලන්ට අරින්න පුළුවන් මේ පැත්තෙන්. ඒක අන්තිම එහා පැත්තෙන් යන්න.
ලොකල් කිව්වල
පුළුවන්. You have to just take the yes.
රහත් කෙනෙක් හෝ රහත් වෙන්න ලාභ කෙනෙක් සූත්‍ර ගැන
නෑ අරින්න. මෙතනින් බෑ.
I don't think it can open more. Tree.
Okay. Don't worry about that and just continue talking.
So, for the first quality, I think Bhagwan said the yogi is not tricked by any impact on the senses or something that is happening to him, which probably means that he keeps kind of strong sati and sampajana. And then unwholesome thoughts do not occur to him or happen to him. I think in the sutta it says that this type of concentration that the Buddha is describing doesn't happen to a lowly person with low desires and so on. And then Then Hamdra said that the quality of that samadhi is that there is no forcefulness, it's not crude, it's not achieved by just suppressing, in a crude way, suppressing asavas, but it's kind of more, if I understood correctly,
good word is effortless.
Effortless.
Yeah, kind of.
Which is obviously something that can happen only to a high class practitioner.
That was number 4.
Yeah, then it talks about the quality of that person that Alejandro explained, or you actually used the word the shell of ford for crossing the river, which in the suttas they seem to explain as a person who is approachable. Approachable by anybody who has these qualities that people are basically happy about because the qualities of his mind. And then the last one, I think Mokuhandra described that sukha, he abides in sukha, but he's not concerned about the sukha or happiness in the future.
Yeah, that was the first one.
The first one?
Yeah, that's.
I don't know why in my notes is the last one. And I think in the suttas it says he mindfully enters
Yeah, that's the last day.
samadhi and he mindfully gets out of samadhi. So I think that pretty much covers it.
ඔක්කොම තියෙනවා.
ආ.
පළවෙනි සුඛයට වැටෙනවා හැබැයි මම දැන් මේ සුඛින් ඔළුවට එන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක විඳිනවා එච්චරයි වගේ. දෙවෙනිව කැලස් නැති බව තියෙනවා. ඒක ලොකු හැමදේකම වැඩිම කතා කරනවා. තුන්වෙනි උත්තම පුද්ගලයා කියන රහතන් වහන්සේ රහත් හතරවෙනි තමයි අර උත්සාහ නැතුව අර අපි නිතරම අර කැලස් අයින් කරන උත්සාහ නැතුව වගේ. පස්වෙනි තමයි අර ඇතුල් වෙනවා ඉන්නවා අර නැගිටිනවා සිහි.
So maybe I can, on top of this, ask a question to Lokohandra. That there seems to be a number of times in the suttas, like Majjhima 52 and then Majjhima 111, where the Buddha or some of his students talk about entering deep samadhi. It's usually described as jhanas, first 4 jhanas, and then immaterial attainments up to dimension of nothingness. It usually stops there. And then there is it says, then the monk, Sariputta even talks in the first person, he says, I would get out of that state and then I would analyze, or maybe the Buddha talks about Sariputta, then the Sariputta would analyze all the constituents of that jhana. So my question would be, whether the monk, especially in the form jhanas, whether we can say that he's still in the jhana while seeing these elements, or he leaves the jhana and can only see it once he's outside.
මේ සම්බන්ධ අහන්නේ කලක් සූත්‍ර කියනවා අර ඥාන හතරම ඒව නැත්නම් අර ආකින්චාන වෙනකම් ඥාන වඩනවා ඊට කොට සූත්‍ර කියනවලු ඒ තිබිච්ච අර අංග ටික මේ අර ධර්මතාව මෙහි කරනවා ඒව නැත්නම් අර පච්චවෙක්කනා කරනවා වගේ. හැබැයි ඒ වචන වලින් කියන්න බෑ මේ පච්චවෙක්කනාද මේ වගේ ඥාන තුල සිද්ධ වෙනවාද ඥානෙ නැගිටලා සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂ වගේව අර ඥානය වගේ ඇති වෙනවා අර ඥාන තුලද
ඒ ඥානෙ මොකද ඒක ඇති කරන්නේ
නෑ පළක් සූත්‍රයක තියෙනවා.
ධ්‍යානෙ ඉඳලා
ඒක වෙන සූත්‍ර කියනවා තිබ්බි අර පොඩි ඉතුරු වෙච්ච දේ අනිච්චතෝ දුක්ඛතෝ මේ දකින්නවා මේ වගේ කතාවක් තුල ඥාන තුලද ඥානෙන්
තුල මොනවක්වත් කරන්න බෑ.
So Lokal says anyway, because this first thing is the best thing would have been take the exact sutta and said what is supposedly happening. Because sometimes it's called reflecting, sometimes kind of understanding, sometimes looking at whatever is there with as impermanent. So there are different things mentioned. But Loko Hamud said anyway, one thing is there and that is within the jhana or absorption itself, you cannot do anything. Like
ධ්‍යාන දබපු එක්කෙනෙක් ඔය පළවෙනි ධ්‍යාන තුන්වෙනි දෙක තුන බෑ චතුර්ථ ධ්‍යානෙත් එහෙම එකපාරට බෑ දැන් මට මේව කියන්න තමයි
actually Lokam says today's Dhamma talk is about connected with this thing. හැබැයි කොහොමද ඥාන තුල නිකන් අර ඥාන විඳිනවා අච්චර.
ඔය ඇත්තට මම කිව්වේ මේ කච්චිද වැඩ නැහැ කියලා.
So anyway, I told you many times that this kind of Dhamma talk is kind of lost on this kind of audience. But anyway, so for your answer, within the jhana you are just like there in the jhana until you emerge. So Lokam says anyway, so today this is continuation on this samadhi talks and things like that. So for Lokohamudu is also kind of almost useless, but then it has good point because of like kind of preparing or like being engaged in this kind of Dhamma talks. He has to read again these suttas, and that is good for him. So when he starts reading those, he's like reminded of those things. Otherwise, not. It's not. If you have like empty head without remembering things, it is very comfortable. Oh. So now these days, because Lokama wants to have the sutta references for these things, so beforehand he asks this nun to bring the Sinhala books and read it out to him, and then they write this kind of summary on the whiteboard, because Lokam cannot read the normal book, but I think from the whiteboard he is able to read. So anyway, so today what Lokam wants to talk about the next sutta, that is number 28 in the 5 in the Anguttara Nikaya. Oh. So in Anguttara Nikaya, the suttas are like spread all over the Anguttara Nikaya. Like if you have one topic, you have to go to different places. For you it's easy, but for the person that has to find those things, it's not so easy. So this first thing is talks about a meditation that is done by Aryas, by the nobles. So it's not any kind of just concentration or samadhi. So it is so it's not for everybody. It's really somebody that has taken the refuge in the Triple Gem and now is practicing that path. So it's for people like that. So it is that last part of the Eightfold Noble Path called Samma Samadhi, this kind of right concentration, let's say, which this explains about. So Lokam says for people that without anything, explaining this thing is really a kind of waste. So now for this you need to be removed from all kind of like personality views, ritualized morality and doubts. So Lokam talked about this a few days ago, how you like think, especially this like where I am coming from, what part of me came from the past and things like that. connected with the doubt and personality view, so you need to be removed from that.
සම්මාදිට්ඨිය තෝරලා දෙන්න ඕනේ.
So that's actually the beginning is really some kind of right view needs to be there. So for that we actually first we need to explain what that is.
සම්මාදිට්ඨියක් නැතුව මේ පංචාංගික සමාධිය ගොඩ ලබන්න බෑ.
So without the right view, you cannot achieve this fivefold noble concentration.
සම්මා සංකප්පේ තියෙනවා කියනෝනේ. සම්මා සංකප්පේ කියන්නේ විතක්ක චෛතසිකේ.
So the second factor of the Eightfold Noble Path, Samma Sankappa, is right thought, or it's usually translated as right thought, is really about like mind factors, mind concomitant. But on the wholesome, like on the good side.
ඉතින් දැන් ඒක පොඩි වෙන මේ ලැබිච්ච කෙනෙකුට
So ara kian arang ara samaditya arang sama sankappa arang puhunu ecce kenekut එක පුළුවන්. So based on some kind of right view and right thought and other things, the other parts of the Eightfold Noble Path, like they work together and like they get more and more pure and developed. So it's somebody that has gone through that can start coming toward to this kind of right concentration.
දැන් ඒකට මේක ඇත්තට මේක හොඳටම හොඳ සතිපට්ඨාන පුහුණු වෙච්චයි.
So the part of the path is also like right speech, right thought, right livelihood, right action and right effort. So now if we consider people that are real Satipatthana yogis,
සතිපට්ඨානය හොඳටම හොඳ සතිපට්ඨාන වඩන වැඩෙන හොඳම යෝගියෙක් වෙන්න ඕන.
So you need to become this really genuine and good Satipatthana yogi, meditator. Means the Satipatthana within you work and develop more and more. So that like steep in that Satipatthana practice. So then you have hope of getting into this.
එතකොට යාට නිකන් මේවා තමුන් ළඟ තියෙන දෙයක් වශයෙන්.
මොකද්ද?
සතිපට්ඨාන හොඳටම පුරුදු වෙච්ච.
And නිකන් බෑගෙන what? So then it's like so you need to come to the level. It's like ladies when they go outside, they usually carry the like handbag all the time. So or your purse, something like that. So the yogi that is properly established in the Satipatthana practice has the Satipatthana all the time with him.
දැන් අපි ළඟ මේ බැංකුවේ තියෙනවා කියමු මේ ලක්ෂ ගානක මුදල්.
So let's say now you have in the bank like hundreds of thousands coins or some currency.
ඉතින් ඒ මුදල් ඕන ගානක් තමුන්ට අඩු ගානක් ගන්න පුළුවන්.
So then if you have like all kind of currency and like you have banknotes and coins and any kind of denomination, so later on if you wish, you ask them what you want and you get it because it's there.
ඉතින් මේ සතර සතිපට්ඨාන වඩලා තියෙනවා නම් බහුල කරලා තියෙනවා භාවිතා බහුලීගතා කරලා තියෙනවා හොඳටම පුරුදු වෙලා තියෙනවා නම් මේවා ඒක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා.
So if you have the Satipatthana practice and you kind of practice it a lot and often and so on, these like usual terms used in Pali is like a lot and often and so on. So then automatically you get these things. So that like the simile is the money. So if you like save the money, then you have all kind of money saved in the bank.
දැන් ඒ වගේ තමුන්ට ඕන වෙලාවක දැන් භාවනා පුරුදු නැති අතිපට්ඨාන ඉතින් මේක දැක්කම වදිනවා කියන එක නිකන් හිතනවා විතරයි.
So for such a practitioner, if he decides to get these states, the first four written on the board are actually the four jhanas. So then just like thinking, let's get this one, allows him or her to access those.
අපි කියමු සතිපට්ඨාන වලලා
So let's say somebody practice the satipatthana up to that level
ඔය අපි විපස්සනා ඥාන ලැබලා තියෙනවා කියලා.
and manage to get the insight knowledges as well.
ඉතින් විපස්සනා ඥාන ලැබලා තියෙන කෙනා මේ තුල මේවා පිළිගන්නවා.
So within those insight knowledge practice where the insight knowledges are happening and there, also these things that are on the board or that the talk is about are available.
ඒගොල්ලෝ දන්නේ නැහැ ඒක තියෙනවා කියලා.
But the yogi generally does not know, cannot like identify those.
ඒක ගුරුවරයා අයිඩියට ගන්නත් කැමති නෑ.
And the teacher generally they don't want to like uncover it for the student that these things are already there. Like the teacher does not want to identify them for the student.
ඒ ගුරුවරයා කැමති මේ ලෝකේ බුදුන් බුදු වෙන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලත් මේවා තිබුණානේ.
So why is that? Because the first things written on the board especially are the four absorptions, and they were available in the world even before the Buddha's attainment of Buddhahood. So like I think what Lokama means is like you don't need the Buddhas for the jhanas really. So the teachers they want to get the student as fast as possible to something better than the jhanas.
Oh, and then නිබ්බාන පැත්තට මනස යොමු කරන එකනේ.
Yeah, so it is the teacher tries to incline the student's mind towards Nibbana. So the jhanas are encompasses on the side of the hindrances, whereas the path knowledge is or that one is on the side of the fetters.
Oh,
meaning overcoming hindrances and fetters.
අපිට සම්පූර්ණ නැති කරන්නේ පුනම්භවයේ තුඟක් දෙනෙක් කැමතිනේ.
So we try to kind of exterminate all these things. Now anyway, most people or many people they have a natural inclination or liking for this renewal of existence.
ඒ පුනම්භවයේ තියෙන වැරදි කැමතිනේ.
And they don't like to hear criticism of that.
Oh, පුනම්භවයේ වැරදි දකින්නත් කැමති නෑ. පුනම්භවයෙන් අයින් වෙන්නත් කැමති නෑ.
So විවේචන අහන්න කැමති නෑ.
කැමති නෑ.
So they don't like to listen criticizing and hearing like the drawbacks of renewal of existence, and they don't like to get in the situation where the renewal of existence does not happen for them.
Oh, it is මේ පුනම්භවයේ ප්‍රමාණිකව අඩු කරලා නැති කරනවා.
So this renewal of existence is gradually reduced and destroyed. So these five factored noble concentration, noble samadhi, Arya samadhi, is for that exact reason, or the goal of that is exactly that.
Oh, then you think the
Oh. Soitakkam savicharam
Pidutang,
vivekajam piti sukkam upasampajja vihara patamanjamam upasampajja.
the Panjilane, Panjilane, Vinadile,
Then upama tettu nan aranan කියන නානවන. So everything. So now look comes the first thing anyway, first mentioned kind of samadhi mentioned in the sutta is the first jhana, where you have the standard definition from the suttas, that is being removed from the sensuality and unwholesomeness. One enters and abides in the first jhana, which is where there is rapture and comfort born out of this seclusion. That means seclusion from those unwholesome and sensual states. And the simile given is also the usual simile, and that is this barber having this chunnam, and like it's like kind of, let's say, soap powder, and you sprinkle it with water and make it, so you end up with this ball of like foamy soap, but it is all permeated with humidity, with water actually. So that's the simile for the first jhana. So the person is like suffused with this rapture and pleasure born out of seclusion, like the water, like the foamy soap with the water.
Then the Vitaka,
So anyway, so the factors mentioned there is I forgot to mention those. Applied thought and sustained thought, and then the rapture and like happiness or comfort. And one point. So we have an object. So it might be so within the Satipatthana, you have these 4 Satipatthanas, establishments of mind of Sati, and that is observing the body, observing the Vedanas, observing mind, and observing phenomena. So this person now very easily, comfortably is noting all these objects. So now very often here you can see yogis that are probably trying to do the noting either with kind of like little bit like displeased or anger face, or Lokambu calls, or in other cases like a dead face. What is the reason for that? Because so this happens, Lokam says, because those kind of yogis have they have liking or towards the noting of the object. So one gets in the practice gradually, starting with morality or virtue. So after the virtue, or based on the virtue, then the mind gets a little bit one-pointed. So what Lokam's now quoting the scriptures, which says something like benefit, or why the sila is there, why virtue is there, because it keeps the mind from being like scattered or dispersed.
ඒ විපටිසාරේ ඉඳගෙන තමයි මෙනෙහි කරන්නේ.
So this non-dispersed kind of mind, and then you know that.
ඔව්. දැන් ඔය එතකොට දැන් මේ අස්තන්නාසා තියෙනවනේ. ඒව සම්මත කරගන්න තියෙන්නේ.
So, anyways, to get hand in hand with the virtue goes kind of restraint. So the objects coming from the sense, normal five senses, they are curtailed to some extent with the practice of sila.
ඒකට කියන ඉන්ද්‍රිය සංවරය.
And that is, this specific part is called the sense restraint.
ඔව් දැන් ඒකට මේකෙන් සංවර වෙලා තියෙනවා. අවිපටිසාරේ තියෙනවා.
So the mind is kind of not restless or not scattered, and also you have the sense restraint.
ඉතින් ඒකට විතක්ක විචාර කරන්න ලේසි.
So then it's easy to get the applied and sustained thought going.
ඒකට මේ විතක්ක විචාර කරන්නේ මේ සතිපට්ඨාන ආරම්භණය.
So this here now this applied thought and sustained thought are really about the objects of the satipatthana practice.
ඔයතන මේ ඒකනේ කාමයන්ගේ මෙන්මු අකුසලයන්ගේ මෙන්මු කියලා කියන්නේ ඒව නෑ ඒව එන්නේ නෑ කොට.
Oh.
ඒක නැතුණාම මෙනෙහි කිරීම ලේසි.
Oh.
ඒක මෙනෙහි කරනකොට දැන් විතක්ක කරන්න පුළුවන් ඒ අරමුණ.
Oh.
නැත්නම් විතක්ක කරන්න බෑ අරමුණ. දැන් අපි කියමු rising falling කියලා. නැත්නම් ආනාපාන නැත්නම් අපි දෙකින් තයිති ඔය කියා දෙනවනේ එක ඒවා කරන්න බෑ. ඒ විදිහට අරමුණ හිතින්නේ නැහැ.
හිතින්නේ
කියන්නේ අරමුණ දැන් ආස්වාද
કોઈ අවස්ථාව.
ප්‍රාසාද කරනවානේ.
ඔව්.
අද ඒක මුල්ම කාලේ තමයි මේ කියන්නේ.
කියන්න අර සාවර නැතුවද?
ඔව් සම්බන්ධ නැහැ.
So now if the person does not have virtue and sense restraint, then it's really impossible to get the applied and sustained thought going. So another way of calling the applied and sustained thought in the case of the satipatthana practice is this noting. You are taught to note when you sit, you have the main object like rising and falling or in and out breathing, but you are told to like note that or and other things. So this noting, you cannot get the noting going if there is no good basis of virtue and sense restraint. So sometimes yogis are told to do loving kindness. So no, why that is because with many people, for many people, like the noting in case of the loving kindness object is easy for them. So they easily get into the noting or attending to the loving kindness object.
living time මොනවද අරමුණක් මුලට ගන්න නැතුව මේ සතිපට්ඨාන මේ ආරම්භනේ මෙනෙහි කරන්න අමාරුයි.
So anyway, with many people, actually something like almost most people, if you just want them to start from the very beginning out, like really as soon as they come on the satipatthana practice is really difficult, because this applied and sustained or the noting as in the satipatthana practice is difficult for them to do. So for that very reason, in the beginning yogis are getting some kind of helping object like loving kindness or Buddha or Satya or something else, which those objects are objects that are for people easy to start the noting of the object, or and then once the mind is prepared with that, it can turn into the satipatthana. So that is not there really for people that are already familiar and have practiced satipatthana before. So there are like let's say, I will call them seasoned satipatthana meditators, so they don't need these things, but we don't have many of people like that here anyway. So for the beginners, then you use some like other objects that help you to get into the practice. When I was young or like a teenager, I could not do it like that. I could, Alkamis means the loving kindness, he could not do at all. Because when he tries to do loving kindness, he starts remembering who he wants to get shouting match with some person or go and hit somebody, so he starts remembering things. So then he's like, what is kind of so what kind of metta is this, and then with that he gets more and more angry. So then he found out something. So the thing he found, quickly counting up to 200.
Universe order.
Around, so you have to count very fast, starting with from 1 up to 200 without any mistake. So then you count back also very fast. So he got used to doing that.
And the end.
Oh.
And
so first you go up to 200, then you go from 200 back to 1. As fast as possible. Then with that kind of wrong concentration, he gets into a kind of half concentration state, but of the miccha kind of the like imperfect or wrong concentration. So but from there only so after that he gets so only after that he starts doing the loving kindness or this kind of other helping meditation. So Lokam told us about this few days back. Some people, some monks, like they were senior to Lokohamudru, were amazed because he used to, when he was not meditating intensively, he used to do all kind of other things. And they were amazed, how can you suddenly from like being busy looking after things, like stop and sit and do the practice like this. So then this was his trick. Only after the counting he can do loving kindness or the meditative aspect of the body or the recollection of the Buddha's qualities or recollection of death, things like that. And only after those, then he starts doing like watching the breath or rising and falling of the abdomen and things like that. Only after these first 2 steps he starts doing what the teacher told him to practice. So because for many yogis, especially newcoming yogis, if you told them to like watch your breath, it's very difficult to do for them.
Oh, ඉතින් ඉස්සෙල්ලා මේ ශාන්ති ගැලපෙන අරුණා විනීතර මං කියන්නේ මේ කයේ ස්පර්ශය ඒකත් ඒක.
So many people are given because like taking the mind immediately from the start to like in and out breathing or these things is difficult. So people get some other object. So sometimes people here get this kind of like sweeping thing or observing body like sitting and touching. So.
No, ඉතින් ඒකට එන්න මේ මේක වලින් කියා දීලා තමයි ඒක ගන්න. ඊට පස්සේ පොඩ්ඩක් මෙත්තාවට එන්න ඊට පස්සේ මූලික කර්මවලට එනවා.
So they are given this kind of thing and then they are told to do a little bit of loving kindness and only then start with the practice of satipatthana.
ඔව් මේවා ඉතින් නැහැ.
So now this
ඉතින් සතිපට්ඨාන දේවල් තියෙනවා.
So anyway, so this is like what happens in the beginning, but what is on the board is kind of quite different level.
And then
So this is when you have completely developed the satipatthana, when you can come to these things.
දැන් ඉතින් විතක්ක කරන්න පුළුවන් හොඳට මාරුණා.
So now this yogi can properly like apply the thought to the object. That means the vitakka is working very well with the object.
විතක්ක කියන්නේ අපි දැන් ඔතට ගොම් කල්පනා කරලා ඉන්නවා වගේ තමයි අපිට ඔළුවට එන්නේ.
So many people when they, because in Sinhala the word vitakka is I think also used for thinking, no?
ඔව් අරමුණට හිතනා
Yeah,
කරනවා.
so people think that it is kind of thinking, but it is not really thinking. It is just kind of applying the mind, like the attention towards the object.
දැන් පිම්බීම කිව්වනේ. පිම්බීම කියන එක මෙන්න කරා පිම්බීම. ඒ පිම්බීමේ පවත්වගෙන යන ඉෂ්ටානේ.
So like when let's say you are observing the rising and falling of the abdomen, so the kind of part of you that the mental process that takes you to the rising is the applied thought, and then you continuously are noting the rising, that which helps with that is the vichara, that's the sustained thought. It's not really like normal, like thinking in the normal way. So like Lokan says, this vitakka is something like jumping onto the object or like climbing onto the object or applying onto the object. And vichara, the sustained thought, means it's a kind of mental something which keeps the mind with that object. So as with the help of vitakka and vichara, applied and sustained thought, because the yogi continues noting the object, he starts being aware of the true nature of the object. In Pali they say as it is. So that object here means whatever is actually noted. So if the noted thing is Vedana, what is seen, how it actually is like appearing, disappearing, broken, things like that. So if the noted thing is the nature of the mind itself, so what is noted is this nature of always wanting to run for after something. So as one continues like watching these things happening with the help of the applied and sustained thought, with the noting, then what starts like coming to the surface if you like manifesting is sensual desire and things like that, the hindrances. So the sensual desire starts surfacing and manifesting. And also ill will. So the kind of නිකං අවස්ථාවේ තියෙනවා හැබැයි වෙන. So we have these what are called 5 hindrances also in the normal daily life, but the way they appear and function in the normal daily life and within the meditation is quite different. So like the kind of sensual desire or ill will within the meditation practice is like a completely different thing. So Lokam says, if I understand correctly, within the meditation practice, you also start getting understanding of what are the things that produce those. There are these different things that must come together for a sensual desire to arise. Huh? Oh. Oh. So before one starts getting this understanding, there is an occasion in the practice where it is kind of difficult or uncomfortable.
Oh, maybe
so because it feels like one cannot keep the mind in one place, or one cannot like keep it as one wants. So things like that happen before one starts getting understanding like how the sensual desire arises or ill will arises. So you don't get this in a normal, like when you have your busy daily life, but there is one phenomena that happens very soon after you start practicing more intensively, is this all kind of rubbish that was kind of stored starts like falling onto your head in the practice. So what happens is now the applied and sustained thought, as you continue practicing, stops working with the other things, like especially the rubbish that you experience, and the vitakka and vichara works more and more only with the meditation object. Normally you have like a husband or wife and kids and house and maybe parents and your job and the people at your workplace, and these things are usually causing all kind of trouble. But even if there are no troubles, still the mind in the beginning goes towards these things. But what really happens is, little by little, as you continue practicing this applied and sustained thought, stops working with those and is there only really with the main object.
දැන් අල්ලගන්න පුළුවන් හොඳට කරදරයක් නෑ.
So then one is able to get into that properly.
අරවත් චුට්ටක් එනවා.
Hmm.
ඒකට මේ විතක විචාරවල ඉතින් මේ නාම රූප දෙකේ ස්වභාවික තත්ත්වය
So then
නැතිවි කියලා අපි කියන්නේ.
So then you start understanding the things like what is the mentality and materiality, what is this arising of some things and disappearance of some things and so on.
ක්‍රමානුකූලව හිත තැන්පත් වෙනවා.
And gradually the mind gets tranquil.
ඒක වාක්‍යම නෙවෙයි.
It does not happen all of a sudden.
ඔය මොහොතට මේක කරලා ප්‍රමාණයක් කරනකොට ඒකයි තැන්පත්.
So in 1 or 2 weeks the mind then gets kind of calm.
ඒයගේ මේ සිත ගප්පිරිසිදු.
So such a yogi's mind is quite pure.
නිවර්ණ කියනවා නිවර්ණ ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා අඩුයි.
The hindrances are there but they act up or function less.
කාමච්ඡන්ද ව්‍යාපාද තියෙනවා.
So the sensual desire and ill will are still there.
ඒ තියෙන නිසා තමයි අර බාහිර එක්කෙනෙක් ඇවිල්ලා මොනවා පොඩි ඒවා කල්පන පොඩ්ඩක් අමනාපෙන්නේ.
So it's because of that, because they are still there, is when the yogi is at that level and somebody comes and says or does something and the yogi gets a little bit of displeasure arising. So the displeasure is arising because the ill will is still there.
So විනාඩි ගණන් තප්පර ගණන් වලට මේ රූපය අමතක වෙන වෙලාවල් තියෙනවා.
So for like moments up to minutes, the form is being forgotten.
මේ භෞතික ශරීරය
Or
ඒ භෞතික ශරීරයෙන් අයින් වෙලා නෙමෙයි. ඒ භෞතික ශරීරයව අමතක වෙනවා.
So it's not that one is like removed from the physical body, but it's like at this level really the yogi like forgets about the physical body.
ඒ භෞතික ශරීරයයි භෞතික ශරීරය මොනවාකට තියෙන්නේ? ඒ භෞතික ශරීරය තුල තියෙන ආරම්මනේ ඒක විතරයි.
So when we say this, that means the main object that the yogi is noting or observing is seen, but it's because like it is usually one part of the physical body really, but the rest of the body is kind of forgotten.
ඒක තමයි ඒකාග්‍රතාවය.
So this is what is called one pointedness.
මේ නිකන් හිතින්ම දාගත්ත එකක් නෙවෙයි.
It's not
ඉතින්
something.
තමයි අදාගන්නේ අරගන්න. මේක නිකන් මවාගත්ත ඒවා තියෙනවා.
No, it's a kind of. It's not something just created by the mind, but okay, it is created by the mind, but not created by the mind. So like you cannot meditate yourself into something like that, or have idea how it should be and meditate yourself into that. It's not possible. ඒක ක්‍රමානුකූලව ගියන් ඒක ඇති වෙනවා. So because you have followed the steps of the practice one by one, you have now come to this level.
මම මගේ ගතාවක් පොළුවේ නෑ. ඒ මම මගේ ගතාව දෙන ආරම්මනේ විතරයි.
So there is no thought or notion of me and mine other than in connection with the object itself. So you don't have any me and mine notions connected with external things. Oh. So but still there is this now the yogi is noting, let's say, rising and falling and or in and out breathing. So with other things the notion of I and my is not there, but with the, let's say, in rising and falling is like I am noting rising and falling, things like that are still there.
මගේ වේදනාවක් තියෙනවා. ශාරීරික.
Oh.
ඒකත් ඉතින් මේකෙම එකක්. ඉතින් බෝලින් එකේම එකක් තමයි ඒක.
So if the yogi happens to get some bodily pains, they become like, if I understand correctly, another meditation object. So at that moment the object is the pain or unpleasant sensation, and then it is noted properly, and you can get the sense of the I and mind is that.
එහෙම ටික දවසක් යනකොට මේ ශරීරය සම්පූර්ණ භෞතික ශරීරයෙන් අයින් වෙච්ච ආස්වාද ප්‍රාසාද නැත්නම් පිම්බීම කිරීම භෞතික ශරීරයෙන් අයින් වෙච්ච වේදනාව.
So after few more days of continuous practice, the yogi comes to a level where the notion of the physical body has completely now disappeared, and the, let's say, in and out breathing is happening without any connection or notion of the body at all, and also feelings are happening, or the vedana is happening the same way.
වේදනාව කියන්නේ මේ ශරීරේ එකක් නෙවෙයි. මේ ශරීරය අරමුණු කරගෙන තමයි ඉඳගන්නේ, මෙනෙහි කරන්න පටන් ගන්නෙ.
So we start the practice with noting what we consider as like bodily things, but actually Vedana is not a bodily thing. Vedana is a mind factor.
එතකොට මේ බාහිර එකක්.
බාහිර එක කියන්නේ
මේ වේදනාව මේ දැනෙන්නක් නැහැ, වේදනාවක් විතරයි.
So if I have to describe it like, so this yogi at this level, it's like there is this Vedana, like let's say pain hanging there within the experience without any idea of the body being there at all. Something like this, okay? Same way, same thing happens for the in and out breathing or rising and falling. So like normally people try to watch the in and out breath around the nose or something like that. So at this point there is no connection with any body at all. So there is just within the field of experience there is this part which is the in and out breathing. And the yogi while doing the sitting practice is just noting that. Feelings or like experiencing and the main object or mind states or mind concomitant.
අජ්ජත්වත් මෙනෙහි කරනවා. මේ අරමුණ මම කියන පුද්ගලෙන් නැතුවත් මෙනෙහි කරනවා.
So then these objects are noted so-called internally or externally. So Lokam says within oneself and without oneself.
අරමුණ මෙනෙහි කරනවා.
So the object is noted, but there is no notion of self.
මගේ අරමුණක් නෑ, මම අරමුණක් නෑ.
It's not me or not my object.
අරමුණ තියෙනවා.
It's just ඒ කියන්නේ අරමුණක් තියෙනවා, මෙනෙහි කරන හිත එච්චරයි.
මෙනෙහි කරන හිතක් තියෙනවා.
So like there is the object and the noting is happening or the noting mind is there, but there is no me or mine in that.
වේදනාවක් තියෙනවා.
Same for Vedanas. Here the Vedana especially also means bodily pain.
ඒකෝද මේක මම කියලා තරමුණ මෙනෙහි කරනවා, මම නැතුවත් මෙනෙහි කරනවා.
But on other occasions the notion of me and mine is there, and so then it's like a mixture. Sometimes the me and mine is there, sometimes not.
ඒකෝද මේ විතක්ක විතර තියෙනනේ. ඒකෙන්ම තමයි ඒක මම පළවෙනි විදියම තමයි. පස්සෙන් විදියම තමයි. විතක්ක විචාරණය කර කර හිටිය අරමුණේ පිම්බීම හැකිලිම පිම්බෙනවා කියන එක විතක්කය ඔන්න ඒක විචාරය කර ඒක එහෙම විතක්ක විචාරකය දෙනවා.
So still the thing that is like helping to attend to the objects is still the vitakka and vichara. The applied and sustained thought are still like doing the noting or helping with the noting.
මේ මම කියන මේ ටික මේවා නැහැ. ඒ විතක්ක විචාර කරන්න වෙන අහක දෙයක්.
So the like the body, it's like really the body is not there, and within the field of experience where there is not the body at all, it's kind of hangs this in and out breathing, which is being attended to by applied and sustained thought.
ඒක දෙයක් මම කියන එක නෑ.
And within that experience, there is nowhere nothing that is I or my.
මගෙත් නෑ ඒක. ඒතකොට හැබැයි අරමුණ මෙන්නේ කරන විතක්ක විචාර
But
කරලා.
still there is the rising or falling or in and or out breathing happening, and it is being apprehended by the applied and sustained thought.
මේම තමයි අනිත් අරමුණ මෙන්නේ කරන්නේ.
So this is how the noting of the objects happens.
මේ බාහිර සංස්කාරමය කියලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ
So for such a yogi, external sounds are not an issue at all. They are not troublesome. So external sounds does not mean far away. Even if they are nearby, it's really no kind of sound is an issue for the yoga. So now, in our cases, we don't get to this kind of mind state too often. But if we manage to get up to that level, so sometimes with the noting there is rapture, strong joy, and comfort, and the one-pointedness.
මේක පීතිසුඛ තියෙනවා. ඒකාග්‍රතාව ලියලා නැහැ.
Oh, vitakka vichara level.
විතක්ක විචාර දෙනවා. ඉතින් පීතිසුඛේ අරමුණු කරගෙන
Savitakka savichara.
එච්චර. සුඛයක් ගන්න ඒකාග්‍රතාවයක් නැහැ.
Oh.
ඒකාග්‍රතාවය ඉතින් අපි ගන්න ඒකාග්‍රතාවය අරගෙන තිබුණා.
So Lokam says the sukha or kind of comfort or pleasure and one-pointedness that was there before is now kind of not observable.
Oh. මේක නම් මේ තියෙන්නේ තෙත්තු නාන පින්ඩය. අර මාතුලන එක හොඳටම ඒ වතුර වැగిරෙන්නේ නැහැ. බුදි විදා තද වෙලක් නැහැ. මොලොක් දෙහින් නාතුලන්නේ. ඈ ඒ වගේ තමයි අරමුණේ තද වෙලා දාන්නේ.
Name everything count the nan with neck.
නෑ.
So now the simile of how this pleasantness and rapture
දැන්
suffuse.
තබන් තියෙන්නේ නේ.
Oh,
තබන් ගෑලා.
oh.
තබන් ගෑලා ගුවා බුල් තෙලා මොන්නේ බොරුල නැහැ. හයි වෙලක් නැහැ. තබන් අංකලා කොහොම ගෑවා. කොහොම කරලා ගෑවා.
Oh.
ඒ වගේ හිතන්න.
No, I said because these days we don't use the chunam. They used to have bathing powder, which you like make into something and no. So Lokam said it's you can think this way. You are taking a bath and first you like make yourself wet and then you start soaping yourself. So if the soap is very hard, it's not happening. And if the soap is completely like become too soft, then it's also not happening in a proper way. So if the like consistence of the soap is nice, you are covered with the like with the soap in a very nice and
අර කුණු ටික යනවනේ.
oh.
ඒ වගේ මේ සමාධියෙන් හටගත්ත මේ සිතින් සෑම අරමුණක්ම මේකේ මෙනෙහි කරනවා.
So now this, when you soap yourself, then this dirt starts being like washed away. So Lokam says, for the mind of the meditator, the same thing happens, and it happens because you are really noting basically all of your experience. Whatever objects are arising, the yogi manages to know them all basically. Here, when we say note, it is on the level of just really knowing them. So very, very small objects as well as bigger coarse ones are known. So the yogi does not on purpose leave out some part of that experience. So Lokam says that is the reason why the Buddha gave the simile. So then the second jhana is similar. So කරන විදිහින් කෙරුවා ඊට පස්සේ අර විතක්ක විචාර එබැතම නැති වෙනවා. So it's something like this. You just continue practicing, and in the beginning you kind of have to like get the mind to the rising and falling, or to the in and out breathing, but at this so at this second jhana level is it just happens, like the yogi does not have to do it at all. So like automatically there is observing of the rising and falling or in and out breathing. Samadhi Piti. So this is called the free from, that's the second jhana is called free from applied and sustained thought, this rapture and pleasant like happiness born out of unification. One enters and dwells in the second absorption. So this simile for the second jhana is this, you have kind of lake which has, it's filled up with a spring, like there's like spring going from the bottom, and so this whole spring is, and there is no water coming from outside. So then this spring, this kind of pond or small lake is filled completely with this cool spring water coming from the spring that is within that. So something. So these things again are things that are experienced even more rarely than the first jhana, but there are still things that are available. Sorry, correction. Lokam was not talking about the jhana, but about the pond or the lake. Oh. So no, this is really, I don't know if it's available. So you think this way, so there is a spring, that means like water coming from the ground, and it fills kind of a small hole or something, and there are no rivers or streams coming from the outside. So then you know all the water in that pond is there coming from this spring. That is. So this like not getting any water from outside is probably like that's it's mentioned like that because now there is no applied and sustained thought. It's just this kind of concentrated, like out of the concentration arising rapture and happiness.
අපේ ඥාති ගෙදර පත්ත නිදක් තිබුණා.
So this kind of pond has always new water. So everybody likes to like bathe there because like if you go to normal ponds, you know all the other people that bathe in the pond, their dirt is in the pond, whereas this one you have always like fresh water. All campuses in the Trinco area, they have this kind of. So they somewhere in that area they have like a hill, and somewhere up the hill there is a very strong spring, natural spring, and it is used to supply the nearby area people with very pure water, as well as the temple is also. So they have these like kind of pipes that are maybe like 5 centimeters diameter or more, and like all the time the fresh water is going through them. So. Very, very pure, good water. Lokamdo says he did not bathe there, but the group that Lokamdo was with, they took bath there. So today no third jhana, okay? So today, so we finish for now. Huh? Oh, ara tunveni jhana ara minishik katawani. Sapurisa minishik यहाँ पर आया किया प्याज वैरागा सुखा पियो हाथरेवानी आरसू दूरधिकारी में नहीं